Welcome, and thanks for listening to Cherry Bekaert's Government and Public Sector podcast series. In each episode, we hear from the best in the business on the latest challenges, trends, and opportunities affecting the government and public sector. I'm Christian Fjellgraf, leader of Cherry Bekaert's Government and Public Sector industry team. I hope you enjoy, and thank you for joining us.
Welcome, everyone, to the Farewell Excel, Achieve Compliance Through Workflow Automation, Episode 5 of our Grants Management podcast series. This episode will focus on grants compliance and the benefit of using automation for tracking and reporting. I am Kimberly Konczack. I am a converted grants management nerd, 5 years in. I work with Cherry Bekaert and our grants management team here, a team of experts in all things grant management, including pre-award grant readiness, post-award grant compliance and operational support, and organizational indirect cost analysis and grant technology solutions. That is about me. Kat, why don't you tell us about yourself?
Hi. So my name is Kat Kizior, and I'm a manager with Cherry Bekaert. I am the Grants Management Solutions team lead. I have over 20 years of experience in accounting and grants management with governments, nonprofits, and commercial agencies.
Thank you, Kat. Today, we have a very special guest, Emily Naufel, who is Director of Customer Success at AmpliFund, a leader in the grants management software market. She and her team work daily to help customers leverage processes and a system to facilitate compliance through workflow automation and much more. Welcome, Emily. Please give us a background on yourself.
Hi there. Well, thanks so much. As Kimberly said, I'm Emily Naufel. I'm the Director of Customer Success here at AmpliFund. I've been with AmpliFund about 4 years and really have the pleasure every day of working with our customers. I worked as an implementation team lead for a few years and then have since been in my role leading our customer success team. And my team is really focused around ensuring our customers achieve their goals and their vision through their use of AmpliFund. I'm the new kid on the block with grants management, it seems, in this group. Prior to my time at AmpliFund, I worked in the healthcare, logistics, and food safety industry. So a lot of different spaces, little outside the realm here, but really all focused around that same mission of enabling and empowering customers.
So I have a question, but first I would just like to say that I take credit for turning Kimberly into a grant nerd, and I'm very proud of that. And my goal is to turn everyone who doesn't know anything about grants into a grant nerd. So you are my first conquest. Thank you, Kimberly.
It can happen to you.
Yeah, just watch out. It can happen to you.
I think I'm on my way.
Yes. I'll take credit for Emily when it happens as well. Anyway, okay, so I want to ask this question right up front because it's important to me and probably important to maybe 5 other people or maybe hundreds. I don't know. So here's my question. Why should I give up my beloved Excel spreadsheets for automation? I have very mixed emotions about this, and I'm very familiar and comfortable with Excel. So what's the benefit for me, who's been using Excel for probably this 20 plus years I've been working in grants and accounting? What's the benefit for me to ditch like my tried and true method that I know works? So we really need some answers on that, those of us that are Excel spreadsheet lovers.
The Excel club, right? We know a lot that are in that Excel club. And it is really hard to imagine life without your valued Excel spreadsheet. And I know for some of our customers, really contemplating trying to make a change when you have a process down with Excel is really hard to fathom. But it's really a great question because I'm a big fan of the saying of what got you here isn't going to get you there. And that's the reality when you're working with spreadsheets. They allow a lot of flexibility and comfort, but they really lack that synergy, traceability, and they rely on you, that body, to drive the action. So we know a lot of our customers live in a really decentralized grants management world, and they're challenges with collaboration are really prevalent because it's hard, and spreadsheets really don't provide that full suite of tools that our customers need to feed effective synergy across those different departments or groups. So the benefits was your question, and I think collaboration is really one of the first ones. If you or your team is struggling with collaboration, stay with us here today, because automation is worth really stepping outside of your comfort zone. It can help improve your communication across different groups that might be interacting with grants. Automation can help simplify those processes to create overall better engagement across all those teams that are interacting with grants. The next thing I'd point out is really like that traceability, auditability, compliance, if you will. Spreadsheets really do not give you good visibility onto who's doing what, when, where, how, all those key things of all these actions that are taking place. And that traceability can be really important for our customers as you get into those audits, and making sure that the reporting that you're delivering back to your funders is really clean and is accurate. A key benefit of automation is really knowing who's responsible for those steps in your process, and having that line of sight to know that they're actually the one taking that action that you expect, maybe not somebody else jumping in when they're not supposed to. Automation really does require you to set that process first, though, but then it typically gives you the ability to confirm the process you expect is being followed. And that consistency, we find, is just so important in the grants world. The ability to renew your existing funding or add more funding in the future, it requires that consistency and accuracy in your processes so that your funder trusts you and continues with you in the future. I'd also say spreadsheets rely on just a lot of memory and institutional knowledge, and that works great if you have the same grant manager in seat for years and years and years. But we find in this industry that chairs are shifting all the time, and that institutional knowledge really gets lost in the transition between people. And automation or some more sophisticated tools can really allow there to be more logic and data driving action rather than an individual's memory. So that data-driven action, though, it requires that higher level of precision and execution, just a little bit more than your spreadsheets might be capable of. And probably last, I'd say, thinking way outside the box with spreadsheets, some of those automated tools that we're talking about here, in some cases, they can allow integration between systems, so allowing you to share data or information that can reduce some of those manual efforts. So I don't know, did my question convince you yet?
I'm thinking very, very strongly about what you said. And you know what really hit me is when you said the chairs are always shifting. And think about that. How often do we talk to a client or an agency or just a government that's like, well, we had a grant manager for a year and then they left, and then we had somebody else come in and then they left, and over and over, and now I can't find anyone or anyone who has any experience to come and fill in. So where are you left? If you have it inside an automated system, how much easier would it be to actually go in there and have a new person learn and understand with all the data in there what's going on with it, with the grants? That's awesome. Spreadsheets can't do that. So yes, I thank you for that, and I am going to think about the best way.
Saying farewell to Excel.
Yes, thank you, Kimberly. Thank you.
Well, and what I heard too is all the time you're going to save, because you're not having to go retrieve information from kind of a decentralized grant system. So you've got police and fire over here handling their own grants, and you're not really sure what they're doing. And then they come to, let's say, the finance or budget department after the fact and say, oh, we need help. We're getting audited for this grant. So with this, I could see where it would save a lot of time. So Emily, my next question for you. So the amount of grant funding that organizations have received over the past few years has increased drastically, especially due to CARES and ARPA, and now that we have the bipartisan infrastructure law funding as well. So how do you think organizations are handling this huge influx of grant funding and staying compliant without using workflow automation?
This is a tough one. And realistically, what I say we hear from customers is this burden is just put squarely on the grant manager's shoulders to figure it out. And I'm doing air quotes there. They just got to go figure it out. And the end result is those grant managers end up being overworked and overstressed because they're trying to take these legacy process tools, spreadsheets that worked really well with a small portfolio that maybe didn't have those stringent or complex requirements that you see with some of these other streams of funding. And they just can't get it done with spreadsheets. The scalability isn't there. As the data grows, whether it's that number of grants or the sub-recipients or just the overall dollars become too complex for Excel to keep up. Some of the benefits that we just chatted on earlier about moving away from Excel is really what causes customers to then start to gravitate away and look at more automation when they start to have that blessing or that challenge, if you will, of all that increased funding.
Great. Well, tell us a little bit more about AmpliFund and what it can do to help entities that struggle with grant tracking, reporting, and compliance, especially in light of all of this influx of funding.
Definitely. Well, this is my favorite thing to talk about, so I'm glad you asked. First, I'd say this is really AmpliFund's purpose. We strive to create a better world by simplifying business processes and amplifying grant resources to help our customers accelerate their mission. Our customer-facing teams at AmpliFund are really laser-focused in our conversations and interactions with customers on just these key topics of tracking, reporting, compliance. And we engage with our customers to understand first their existing processes, what's working, what's not. And through our implementation, we take those activities, mostly relying on our beloved Excel spreadsheets and manual efforts, and try to design a new reality for them, driven by technology to really increase the impact of their existing team. And we see with customers struggles in that grant tracking that are just so common. And so really that's the first area that we attack with customers, is get all that grant data, the documents, the emails, the resources into a common place of AmpliFund. And that is a big challenge for all of our customers that we work with. That data is in many spots, typically when they come to us. But that initial data centralization really then unleashes the ability for your data to drive action through workflow automation and other key tools. And this could be things like automating notifications to your team members when there's reporting due dates, or prompting the right teams to get involved at various stages of the grant lifecycle. As I talk with customers, one of their key goals in pursuing a grant management system is really creating the capability to pursue more robust reporting, whether that's for their internal teams, their funders, or maybe their executive team is looking to understand how much funding they have, what they're doing with it, and really centralizing the data and using that automation to power processes can help them achieve some of those reporting goals. It can be a real challenge, though, if you're stuck in Excel. So the power to create a graph or a chart exists in a spreadsheet, but really getting the right data from all those various tools and systems can be really challenging. I'm going to keep going on the AmpliFund front here because compliance is something I would be remiss if I didn't mention. This is another big focus of our customers, and we really try to help them power that compliance and stay in compliance so that they can continue on with their mission, which they can't achieve unless they have that continuation of grant funding. And we support our customers through this with automation by helping them automate processes like pre-award approval steps, or maybe their award closeout processes, to make sure that they are following the right steps that their organization has set to retain that funding. And I'll wrap this answer with just taking the opportunity to talk about our fantastic team here. I have mentioned a lot already about the ways that our software and our technology can help, but what AmpliFund brings to the table is really an incredibly dedicated team. We have a number of certified grants management specialist individuals on our team. We have team members who came from roles being a grant manager or working in the public sector space or nonprofits. We got those almost converts like me coming in from a totally different industry, but bringing a fresh perspective to the table. And our team is really driven to power our customers' organization to that next level of impact. We have a lot of that experience, and across the team, working with individual customers, we really focus our team on bringing out those best practices into our conversations with customers about automation and what they can do, both with our tool and then just with our long-term support.
And Emily, I echo your sentiments. I've had the privilege of working with the AmpliFund system as well as the AmpliFund team, and it is excellent. So just for fun, just for fun, let's walk through a scenario. Let's say an organization has 100 grant awards. Each has a different reporting cycle and reporting requirements. How can workflow automation keep the organization's reporting accurate and timely better than Excel? I feel like that's like a middle school word problem. Ready, go.
Yeah, I'm going to pen my decision on workflow automation dependent on your answer. So go.
Oh, okay, this better be a good one. This is reality for so many people that we talk to, though. And I would say workflow automation can absolutely help with your accuracy and timeliness here. That first step is getting that base data of those grants into some type of system. Datatizing it is one of my new words. It's not a real word, but I'm making it up. And then workflow can really work with that base data. And it just needs a few things. So like grant period of performance, maybe reporting cadence that you need to follow. Specific reporting requirements can also really be a huge help to have documented in a system. And then once you have those basics, if you imagine that maybe those 100 grants that you're working on touch 5, 7, 10 teams across your organization, workflow can trigger out those reminders because it knows your period of performance and it knows your reporting cadence. And then it can eliminate the need for you to be monitoring that spreadsheet on a day-to-day basis, identifying what reporting due dates are 5 days out, what are 10 days out, and sending those friendly, air quotes again there, reminders out to the team to make sure that they're on track. Or maybe if you get to the not so friendly reminders too, if they're past due. So workflow can take that work off your plate. It can also really help with some of the reporting requirements. Maybe if you have to get certain sign off or approval before you submit that report to a funder. So maybe you're generating the report, but then it needs to go to a department head or finance lead to review and approve. And workflow automation can take that step for you. So rather than you sending an email or walking down the hall to get that review, signature, approval, workflow can make sure that that process happens consistently every time without you personally touching that individual step. Another area we can see great benefit from this is just workflow automation can maybe make sure that those copies of reports get saved in a central location. That can be a checkbox or part of your process so that when you leave or somebody in your organization leaves in the future, you know what was submitted to the funder and you have access to it all the time in the future. I would also say as you got maybe one grant manager managing those 100 different grants, periods of performance, all that complexity, big spot that workflow can play a key role in is if that person maybe wants to take a quick vacation, which is usually allowed sometimes, when they step away, everything doesn't have to stop. The deadlines don't have to get missed. We don't have to get somebody up to speed on how to navigate this spreadsheet that an individual has managed for so many years. So workflow automation can just keep running, and it can keep things moving while you have employees step away. So that can hit a lot on timeliness, but I want to make sure before I wrap my answer here that I hit on accuracy too. So combining a lot of that data for your reporting requirements out of so many different sources and trying to pull it into Excel, and you got crazy formulas and maybe some VLOOKUPs here and there, that can lead to a lot of errors. And that flexibility that a spreadsheet allows you, this is where it really hits you in a not optimal way. The flexibility means that there's probably not any checks and balances if those formulas go wrong, or that Excel file is not going to alert you if your grant budget is almost at the budgeted amount. So you've almost spent out that total budget category, or maybe somebody accidentally puts an extra zero in your Excel cell for an expense. So automation by ways of like maybe expense caps or spending alerts that trigger to grant managers or department leads can really help make sure that you've got some of that accuracy in your reporting as well.
Yeah, I think I'm sold.
Good.
So I've worked in places where I've had 100 grants to manage, and all of those things you just brought up, all of the ways that workflow automation or AmpliFund can help is such a great way to, time saving, right? Compliance, better compliance, less findings on a single audit or any kind of other grant audit. So yeah, I really like it. Thank you.
So yeah, I agree. But how would an entity decide what is the best workflow solution for them?
So I'm going to jump in real quick because I have dealt with several agencies that they want to look at workflow automation or some kind of grants management software, but they don't know where to start. So one of the things that I have seen, that's a big factor is cost. Obviously, a smaller organization like a small nonprofit may not be able to afford some grants management software that's out there that may be more expensive. So that's something to look at as when you're looking at what kind of grants management software you should purchase or look into. Also, functionality is a factor. It's a huge factor. So if you're a grant recipient and you have subawards, you need to stay compliant with your recipient or your subrecipient monitoring, and you also need to stay compliant with your own funding regulations, right? So you need a program that will actually perform all of these functions for recipients and subrecipients and maybe more. One of the things that we didn't really talk about was AmpliFund. That also has a module that will help you search for grants as well. So not only do they have the pre and post award, but they also have that search component where a lot of people lack and have no idea where to go to find funding. So I think, if that's something your organization is interested in, make sure you look at some kind of software, grants management software that can help you with that as well. What am I missing, Emily? What other factors do you feel play into, what kind of grants management software an entity should choose?
Those are all really good ones. I would also say access across your teams is a big one. And this can sometimes play into cost. But if you think about the processes that you want to leverage workflow for, it might touch a number of individuals or different teams. And you want to make sure that whatever tool you select gives everyone the right level of access to perform the necessary functions that make that workflow work for your organization. So you want to make sure that everybody who needs access can get access. And I'll do a quick plug here for AmpliFund. I just can't help myself, but we allow an unlimited user model, and this is to really reduce barriers. We want to provide access to data to everyone in your organization who can power your mission. So you're not hindered by a user count. It also ensures that when you work with customer success, which, I'm of course always thinking about that you don't have a team member that's focused on upselling you additional seats, but we're really focused on optimizing your use of the tool. The other factor I'd call out is thinking about the onboarding or the implementation associated with the solution. Solutions that sit on the shelf they're not going to help your organization improve. They're not getting rid of that spreadsheet for you if you don't have it actually adopted and in practice. So be sure you understand what it takes to implement or learn the tool so that you can maximize your investment. And make sure that as you're considering that implementation process, that it's focused on what's going to make the biggest change, the biggest impact to your organization. And whether you're kind of revamping use of an existing tool or bringing in something new, really thinking about how you're going to train others and hold them accountable to using it can also be really critical. So getting maybe some executive buy-in on the tool, or making sure you got clear roles and responsibilities that are easily understandable with whatever you select. Finally, I'll just wrap with, I think you mentioned functionality. That's super huge. Make sure that you investigate tools that have the capability to address your top problems. What's getting you audit findings right now, maybe what's taken up the most time with your spreadsheets, but also make sure that tools you consider, they can handle your most pressing challenges now, but also think about the future. As your grant portfolio might expand, is that going to set you up for success in the long term?
Wow, that's incredible, Emily. Thank you so much for the insight into workflow automation, as well as just general best practices for managing grants. Thank you, Kat, as well. And if you would like to reach out to us, you can reach me at kimberly.konczack@cbh.com. You can reach Kat at kat.kizior@cbh.com. And if you have any questions about workflow automation or AmpliFund grants management software, you can email Emily at enaufel@amplifund.com. Our next podcast will revolve around the highly requested topic of grants management and staff transitions. In this discussion, we will explore the most effective strategies for ensuring compliance when managing staff transitions within grants management. We will also address the common challenges that organizations face during such periods of upheaval. Thank you to our audience for listening in today, and remember to subscribe to the series at www.cbh.com/Cherry-Bekaert-podcasts/.
Thanks so much, everyone.
This is Christian again. I hope you enjoyed this episode and look forward to our next one. Don't forget to subscribe.